I did some for fun math, the best kind, that allows us to compare walking, sprinting, and sprint jumping to see their differences and to maybe help inform you which one you want to use depending on the situation. I walked, sprinted, and sprint jumped across a 500 block course. We'll start with that it took me roughly 2 minutes and 27.67 seconds to walk across 500 meters, 1 minute 13.92 seconds to sprint across 500 meters, and 1 minute and 10.5 seconds to sprint jump across 500 meters. So from just those numbers alone, we can see that sprint jumping is a little faster than sprinting. And of course, we knew walking is slower, but let's see the direct speed stats. Walking is about 3.38 meters per second. Sprinting is about 6.76 meters per second. And then sprint jumping is about 7.09 meters per second. So we can see that sprinting is about double the speed of walking, and that sprint jumping is about 0.33 meters per second faster than sprinting. But the stats don't stop there. This is how much satiety you lose per second, or satiety, however you're supposed to pronounce it. For walking, you lose about 0.92 satiety per second. Sprinting, you lose about 2.347 satiety per second. And sprint jumping, you lose about 2.435 satiety per second. And from these numbers, we can see, to no one's surprise, walking is very efficient hunger-wise. And then we can see, although sprint jumping is a little faster, it gets balanced out by the fact that it loses roughly 0.10 satiety per second more than sprinting. And now one final last stat, which I don't think is usually as applicable, but it's kind of a fun to know stat, I guess, is how much satiety do you lose per block traveled, which for walking is about 0.27 satiety loss per meter traveled, or block meter, same thing. Sprinting, you lose about 0.347 satiety per meter. And then sprint jumping, you lose about 0.343 satiety per meter. So what's interesting there is that if you're looking at it from the perspective of hunger efficiency per block traveled and you don't care about the time, then technically sprint jumping is more efficient with your food than sprinting, but only if you're trying to travel the same amount of blocks between sprinting and sprint jumping. Now, for those that wanted to see my math, well, here it is. Here's my chicken scratch. For some of the numbers, I needed to figure out how much satiety you lose during idle, and also wanted to recalculate what the satiety update interval was. Because in case you didn't know, your satiety bar does not update in real time. It updates roughly every 10.023 seconds. And with the same idling test, I was then able to note down how much satiety you lost per update cycle, added them all together, and then divided them by how many there were to get the average of 2.413 satiety per 10 seconds, which gives us about 0.241 satiety per second lost while idling, which is very important. Here we have the walking calculation number stuff. All these, by the way, that you saw before were the timestamps in my editing program. This number is minutes, this number is seconds, and then this number is frames, which is out of 60. So you can just take this number, so 24 divided by 60, and you get, I think, roughly 0.4 seconds. And so that's how I was able to figure out that this moment was at 9 minutes and 4.4 seconds in the recording. And then mark the starting satiety of what it was noted as before I started walking. And then this is the ending satiety number for when the last update cycle happened. So this is not the number for when I finished walking, since the updates happen every 10 seconds. So I have to make sure a fresh new update has happened to the satiety number after I finish walking, and that's what this number is. And for the walking, we figured out that it took me 0.616 seconds reaction time to actually start walking after the first update cycle. So that's how long I was idling for, just to start walking. And this is how much I had to idle for waiting for the new update cycle to happen, which gave us this ending satiety number. But then with what we calculated before and this time, we can then know that I lost 1.088 satiety in that 500 meters. And so we just add that to this to get our true ending Sadie number for if the Sadie bar actually did update in real time, what our ending Sadie would actually be when we finish walking. Then gobbledygook could do some other math, and then we get the numbers I basically presented at you earlier. And then from there, it's simple. We just do the same thing, but again, for sprinting, blah, 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 blah. You can see it all here. I'm not going to go through it all again. And then same thing for sprint jumping. Ignore me messing up here. And yeah, those are my notes on how I got all the beautiful numbers. And then I rewrote it all here so I could more easily read it off in the voiceover. What? And that's been an episode of the Totally Real ArtNat's Unnecessary Math for Fun. I hope you tune in next time to this totally theoretically real show.